If fun is a necessity of life, then why is boredom a part of it? Why do we have to exist with nothingness in our vicinity? What is the science behind this phenomenon? Why is boredom necessary? This is the question we'll try and find out together. Boredom is often dismissed as trivial, a fleeting annoyance that arises when nothing interesting captures our attention. Yet, as Shane, Bench, and Heather argue in their review on the function of boredom, this seemingly mundane state may in fact play a crucial role in human adaptation and goal pursuit. This will also be the basis of argument that we'll be using in today's video. Drawing from emotion theory and empirical evidence, the authors propose that boredom functions as a discrete emotion with specific effects on cognition, behavior, experience, and physiology. Far from being inconsequential, boredom operates as an emotional signal that motivates individuals to disengage from unfulfilling pursuits and seek alternative goals. They emerge from environmental challenges and organize responses to those conditions. For instance, happiness signals goal attainment. Anger indicates that a goal is blocked but still recoverable. Sadness marks irrevocable loss, and anxiety reflects anticipated threats. Within this framework, boredom fills a gap. It answers the question of what prompts to disengage from current goals and shift to new pursuits once the intensity of other emotions fade. Thus, boredom is not merely the absence of engagement, but an active motivational state that pushes individuals to explore alternatives. I mean, come to think of it, like 50 minutes ago, I'm pretty sure you are trying to do maybe, if you are a high school student, you're trying to do that homework. It was a lot, right? And then you said, you know what, F this, let me go maybe and play some video game. That is exactly what this thesis, or rather this argument, is trying to explain. In my research, I found another interesting fact is how to distinguish between apathy and boredom. You have to know that apathy reflects resignation, helplessness, and a lack of motivation to act. Boredom, in contrast, is characterized by restlessness and a motivation for change. While apathy signals surrender, boredom compels exploration. Another example, a person bored in their relationship may seek novelty or new goals, whereas a person experiencing apathy feels stuck without motivation to change. This distinction underscores boredom's adaptive, energizing quality. Research on trait boredom, which is the tendency to experience boredom frequently, shows links to risky behavior such as drug and alcohol abuse, gambling, and binge eating. Though risky, these activities provide intense stimulation and novelty, consistent with boredom's proposed function of redirecting attention toward new experiences. Experimental work on state boredom supports this view. In one study, participants induced into boredom chose between two follow-up tasks, one being completing questionnaires on everyday habits, and another watching a film designed to elicit intensive negative emotion. A portion of participants chose the aversive film, suggesting that boredom can motivate engagement even with the pleasant but novel experiences. This illustrates boredom's indiscriminate drive toward change, regardless of whether the new goal produces positive or negative emotions. Socially, boredom may serve as a communicative function. Non-verbal expressions such as eye rolling, slouched posture, lack of focused gaze signal disengagement to others, prompting them to introduce novelty or alter the environment. In this way, boredom shapes not only personal choices but also social dynamics. That explains a lot when I'm talking to my sister and then she's just not in on it on that joke or whatever. So it's high time I level up as an older brother, right? Moving on, boredom significantly impacts cognition, primarily by undermining sustained attention. Vigilance tasks such as long, monotonous activities requiring constant monitoring consistently show that as boredom increases, performance decreases, and participants report difficulty maintaining focus. Boredom also fosters mind wandering. Though often experienced as negative, mind wandering can serve as a cognitive mechanism for exploring new goals and possibilities. In some cases, boredom may even facilitate creativity as an engaging context push individuals to generate novel ideas to escape monotony. again, way back to when we were in high school, right? That math teacher, he had two consecutive math lessons before maybe a break or whatnot, right? And so a lot of people, of course, hate maths, right? And let's say, for example, I will have a 15-minute attention span. My other friend will have maybe a 30-minute attention span. The smart guy of the entire class will maybe have an hour or so attention span, right? But at the end of the day, not each and every person is going to be attentive in the entire class, because people are going to be dozing off, or their minds will be wandering off because the teacher might ask a question and you are like, oh, now the teacher was teaching his stuff, but your mind wasn't really there, was maybe thinking about PlayStation or lunch or whatnot, right? So I just had to dumb it out for maybe those my younger folks or whoever maybe did not understand. The lived experiences of boredom is distinctively negative. Individuals report feelings of restlessness, purposelessness, and entrapment, alongside perception that time passes slowly. Experiments manipulating clock speeds confirm that boredom intensifies when people feel trapped in an unchanging moment. Unlike sadness or anger, boredom combines low challenge with a strong desire for change. This aversive quality is functional. It creates discomfort strong enough to motivate disengagement from the current state and move toward alternative goals. Contrary to the stereotype of boredom as a lethargic state, evidence suggests it may be associated with increased autonomic arousal. In laboratory tasks, high reported boredom corresponded with elevated heart rate and galvanic skin response. Before going any further, I hope that we are all on the same page, we are learning a thing or two. And if you find this topic, or rather, if you find my content thought provoking and you want to stick around, why don't you subscribe? It will mean the world to me, as I'm trying to make YouTube a full time thing. As we move into the next segment, we've seen that boredom is not negative, but rather a necessity for all of us. As Arthur Brooks, a Harvard professor, emphasizes, it draws attention to the default mode network, a neural system that becomes active when external demands are absent and the mind is left to wander. In moments such as sitting at a red light without a phone, the default mode network prompts individuals to reflect on existential concerns, including questions of purpose, coherence, and significance. This reminds me of moments when I wake up, right? And sometimes I am prompted, or rather eager to check breaking news might be on my phone, right? And then I figure, no, let me just settle into my own thoughts and figure out what is going on in my mind, right? And in this essence of being bored, in this loop of being bored, I have questions of purpose, coherence, and significance. And I do find a lot of answers to some extent, and it opens me to explore other aspects of my life. So bro really hit the nail on the head. Yeah, so hopefully maybe you might be doing that next time you wake up, right? Anyway, I digress. Although uncomfortable, these experiences are critical for psychological well-being.
When you think about nothing, well, your mind wanders and thinks about, for example, big questions of meaning in your life. What does my life mean? You go to kind of uncomfortable existential questions when you're bored. That turns out to be incredibly important, incredibly good. One of the reasons that we have such an explosion of depression and anxiety in our society today is because people actually don't know the meaning of their lives, much less so in previous generations. Tons of data show this.
A striking experiment by Daniel Gilbert found that participants left alone in a room for 15 minutes preferred to administer painful electric shocks to themselves rather than endure boredom. This aversion reveals not only the negative, affective quality of boredom, but also its deeper function. It exposes individuals to self-reflection and existential uncertainty. He goes on to warn that smartphones and digital devices have nearly eradicated that natural experience of boredom, and that people instinctively seek stimulation to escape the aversive state. To prove this notion, an experiment was conducted by Siri Sanford, a psychology major student who sought to test how the temptation of cell phone use affected the relationship between boredom and creative thinking. 25 participants were put the test by filling out a boredom proneness and also completing 3 creativity tasks. They were then asked to split into 2 groups, one being low temptation and another being high temptation, and then were asked to sit in an empty room for 15 minutes with no personal belongings. The low temptation group had no phone, while the high temptation group was instructed to place their phone face down on the table in front of them in the room but not to interact with it. After the 15 minutes, the participants retook the boredom proneness test and the creativity tasks. They also answered questions about the experience, including if they had thought about or used their phone. While there was no significant difference in the results between the two groups, a trend did emerge related to the participants' behavior. People who thought of their phone more in the room rated higher in boredom. Sanford explained, the consequences of this avoidance are significant, suggesting that chronic distraction creates a doom loop of meaning, where individuals never engage with existential questions, thereby increasing vulnerability to depression and anxiety. This claim echoes findings that boredom proneness correlates with maladaptive outcomes such as substance abuse, problem gambling, and academic disengagement. When boredom's adaptive function is circumvented, individuals may seek superficial stimulation rather than authentic meaning. One of Brooks' claims is actually practicing boredom, one being exercising without devices.
I get it. You don't want to be bored. You need to be bored. Be bored more. Tomorrow, when you go to the gym in the morning after you wake up, don't take your phone. Can you handle it? Not listening to a podcast while you're working out, just being in your head. I promise you, you'll have your most interesting ideas while you're working out without devices. It's probably been a long time since you've done that. Commute with nothing, not even the radio. Can you do that?
Which can lead to one's most interesting ideas. Thus, Brooks' advice to be bored more is supported by empirical evidence that boredom may foster innovation and reflection when embraced rather than avoided. In conclusion, Brooks prescribes practical strategies for reclaiming boredom, device-free meals, screen fasts, and intentional engagement with unstructured time. These practices mirror the adaptive perspective advanced by Bench and Lynch, who argue that boredom provides a quote-unquote valuable adaptive function by signaling it is time to pursue a new goal. Instead of pathologizing boredom or eliminating it with constant distraction, society might better treat it as a form of emotional hygiene, a necessary pause that enables reflection, meaning making, and growth. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you a lot for watching. Tell me what you learned. I learned a lot. I learned something about myself. Did you learn something about yourself? Please put it down in the comments below. Tell me what I did right, what I did wrong. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.